Hello, this is a continuation of section 3.4, use slope to graph linear equations. Okay, so the first thing we did is I just made up this first line that you see, and I gave it a slope of 3/4 for no reason at all. Okay, we're going to talk about parallel and perpendicular lines today. So to start, a parallel line will have the same slope. I don't know if you remember this from geometry, but parallel lines, they're just right next to each other. Well, they don't really have to be right next to each other, right? They're two lines that will be going in that same direction, but will never intersect. Okay, so they would never ever touch. So what a parallel line to the one that I just totally made up, I'll just make up another one that's parallel. I'll just come down here for no reason at all. But my slope was 3/4. So if I want to make a parallel line to that line that I already had, I'm going to keep that exact same slope. So it's going to go up 1, 2, 3 over 1, 2, 3, 4. It's a little bit of a rough sketch, but I think that you get the idea that parallel slope just means the same. Perpendicular we have to do two things. We have to negate the sign. So negate the sign and flip the slope, the fraction. So negate means if it's positive, make it negative. If it's negative, make it positive. So you do the opposite sign, and then you flip that slope. So in our parallel, it was the same. It was 3/4. Now, in our perpendicular slope, it's going to be, we're going to make it negative, and we have to flip it. So it's not 3/4 anymore. It's 4/3. And if we went up, let's see, I'm just going to go up to 1, 2, 3, head up here to start. And then I want to make a negative slope. And I'm going to try to show you that it's perpendicular, meaning that it has a 90-degree angle where it's going to hit that other line. So I'm going to go down 4 and over 3. Okay, so I counted down 4 over 3. And hopefully it looks perpendicular. It's kind of hard when we're sketching sometimes. All right, I think that looks pretty good. So if you look, just like a little box means that it's perpendicular, that's 90 degrees right there. So I think that if you kind of tilt your head a little bit, you could see that's a 90-degree angle. So those are perpendicular. So if we're talking about the same slope, parallel, keep it the same. Perpendicular slope, negate your sign, so change it to the opposite and flip the slope. So flip the top and the bottom. So instead of 3/4, have 4/3. All right, I have 4 examples for us to work through today. The first one, I'm going to scroll so you can hit pause and write both problems at the same time if you want. Example 1, write an equation for a line parallel to y equals -5/2 x plus 2 with a y-intercept of 0, 7. That one isn't too bad. I think you'll get that one. Example 2, though, I try to trick you. Let's see if I did. Example 2 is write an equation for a line perpendicular to y equals -5/2 x plus 2 that contains the point 10, -4. Okay, so go ahead and try both of those. Come back when you're ready. Okay, so for the first one, parallel means same slope. What is the slope? If we look here, the slope is -5/2. So we just keep it the same. X plus, what's the y-intercept? 7. So this equation, y equals -5/2 x plus 7, is parallel to the original one with that y-intercept of 7. That one's done. This next one is tricky for 2 reasons. The first reason, I probably didn't trick you, but I used the perpendicular. So what I know so far is y equals, so I'm going to make it the opposite, right, for the sign. So now it's no longer negative, it's positive. And I'm going to flip the 5 over 2 to be 2 over 5x. This is probably the point where I tricked you, was you probably looked at this y and you thought that was the y-intercept. You might have. That only works if this x value is 0. Okay, since it's a 10, our y-intercept is not at -4. Okay, so right now, we don't know what our y-intercept is. So I'm just going to write plus b while we go find a way to figure that out. Okay, now what should we do? In my equation, I'm seeing an x and a y, and I have points, x and y, right? I have a 10 for an x, a -4 for a y. Go ahead and try to plug those in if you didn't get this far. If you did get this far, just keep watching. But if you didn't get this far, go ahead and try to take it from here, finish out the problem. All right, so remember, we're going to go ahead and borrow those points. So I'm going to borrow the x, borrow the y. If you aren't ready yet, just hit pause and come back when you're ready. So I plugged those in. When I plugged in the 10, I put over 1 because I saw I was going to be multiplying fraction, and that's easier for me. So 10 over 5 is really just 2 over 1. So I'm doing this to try to figure out what b is. Okay, so -4 equals 4 plus b. Subtract 4 from both sides. You get -8 equals b. Is that our answer? Is our answer b equals -8? That is not our answer, because the whole problem, it said write an equation for a line that's perpendicular to this and contains this point. So we aren't quite done yet. Our final answer is y equals that 2/5 x, and then b is -8, so I'm just going to write -8. That is our equation, perpendicular to that one that they gave us and contains that point. All right, awesome. Number 3, go ahead and write an equation for me that's perpendicular to y equals 1/5 x plus 2 and contains the point 2, -2. So this one is just like that number 2. I just want to give you a chance to practice it one more time. So go ahead and hit pause. Press play when you're ready. All right, so you think you're ready? The answer is y equals -5x plus 8. If you did not get that, hit pause, go back and try to check your work, and if you need a hint, hit play, and I'll go ahead and work through it. All right, so my slope, it was 1/5, so we want it perpendicular. It was positive, so I made it negative, and I flipped the 1 over 5 to be 5 over 1, which is just 5. Then I didn't know what my y-intercept was, but had to contain the points 2, -2, so I plugged those in just to borrow them real quick to figure out what b would be. And then once I found that b, I went and I plugged them in to what I had so far to get my final answer of y equals -5x plus 8. Very good. Last one for today. This one is a confusing one, though. There is a lot going on. For this last one, I want an equation that has two different things, okay? It's going to be parallel to this one on the left, the 3x minus 2y equals 8. I want it to be parallel to that one, but then I want it to have the same y-intercept as this one on the right. Okay, so can you look at that and see what the slope is for the parallel one? Or can you look at it and see what the y-intercept is? Me neither. So what we're going to do to start, the very first thing I want you to do is put both of them into slope-intercept form. Okay, so that's the y equals mx plus b. So do some work on that, hit pause, come back when you're ready. This is usually a tricky problem. So if I want to get it into y equals mx plus b, what do I have here in the parallel one on the left that I need to move over? I want the y to stay, so I'm going to do minus 3x. So now I have minus 2y equals minus 3x plus 8. Is it in y equals mx plus b? Super close, but not quite, right? Because it's y equals mx plus b, not negative 2y. So I have to divide every single piece by negative 2. And when I do that, I get y equals negative 3 over negative 2 is 3 halves x. 8 over negative 2 is a negative 4. Okay, if you didn't quite get that one, go ahead and try the next one. You're going to do the same thing. Get that into slope-intercept form. Hit pause, come back when you're ready. Okay, so I moved over the x's, divided every single piece by the 2, and I got y equals a negative 3 halves x minus 2. So to finish it off, let's go back and revisit what our question actually was asking us to do here. Is that we want to have one equation that was parallel to the one on the left, with the y-intercept is the one on the right. So if it is parallel to the one on the left, what is my slope? 3 halves, because parallel means same slope. If I want it to have the same y-intercept as the one on the right, what is my y-intercept? Negative 2. That is our final answer. All right, I hope you have another amazing day. You are super awesome.